Hello and welcome to Investing Testing. This video is going to be more disorganized than usual. You probably didn't realize this, but I do have like notes in the background which I ordinarily follow. However, this time I'm wanting to talk about something that has been going on with me recently, which it's all down to emotion and how that can cloud the mind, and also maybe a little bit about tiredness as well. So in recent times, there have been several contributing factors where I just started to feel a little bit of fear, anxiety, and emotions started to take hold in how I was investing, what I was doing, the videos I was creating. For example, if you look at the student coin, I think it was called Student Coin video, you can see that I was actually not so panicking a little bit about something so minor. And like I said in my explainer videos in the past, general emotions can be bad when investing. So I want to talk about my journey. I mean, this channel is all about being real, right? So I'm wanting to be real with you guys. So first of all, I mean, the first thing that started to send me in a tailspin was the fact that I have now surpassed five figures numbers in my investing. So it's over $10,000. And that made me feel a little bit anxious because, you know, 10,000 in my mind is a lot of money, and we've been desperately trying to save a house. Then on top of that, you have this idea that we're in a bubble and it might collapse at any moment. So we don't know whether there's going to be a market crash at some point. And then also, so there's the market bubble and generally dealing with a lot of money. And also like just the idea of, you know, what am I working towards? Because before, when I first started all of this, you know, I wasn't really paying attention too much to the idea of having so much money in a short space of time. Of course, that was in my mind when I was making basic decisions for investing. Is this short term or long term? Can I do this within a year, or is it going to be 10 years? So I was preferably going for things that would be able to make me money within a year. But overall, I was like, especially with this channel, Investing Testing, it was kind of like going down the route of trying everything out. I wanted to become a millionaire before I was 40, right? So I'm just trying out different things to see how it works, whether it works, which directions to take. And so I was trying to look down that route and just trying out different stuff and trying to figure out whether this was right for me or this was right for me. But I wasn't entirely sure whether that was the right course during this period where there was a slight panic. You know, I'm like trying to think, okay, we're wanting to get a house and wanting to get a deposit. And I've made it big on this thing, and I've managed to make some X amount of money. And I'm just like, okay, so should I pull this money out now or should I reinvest it? I mean, it came to that point where I literally I pulled a lot of money out of, for example, Bitcoin, and then was thinking, well, I should be reinvesting so that money can grow. But then I was thinking, okay, but this is quite close to when we're wanting the house or apartment. So we're not entirely sure how to go about it, or I wasn't specifically, and I was trying to think about what investing testing was about, and so this all brought in a whole bunch of anxiety, and it's like a sense of panic that I should be investing all my money, but then I was wanting to put my money to the side just in case there's another crash. But the crash could happen this year, it could happen next year. It looks like there's loads of inflation happening. Is what they've been doing since the 80s, and the crash in the 80s, and they just inflated the money so much, inflated the dollar. So of course the stock market is doing well due to the inflation of the dollar. there's certain videos in some playlists you can actually look on the channel, and you'll be able to find this information. So I want to talk about the effects that, like, these are all the causes of the anxiety I've been feeling, the fear, and how it's affected my trading. Now, I've been pushing myself to try and reinvest that as much as possible in the right things. And then there's this like kind of a stress and a panic of like, oh, is this the correct thing, or is this the correct thing? And it's difficult to know, especially when you're in a panic, and you realize, and I was getting tired as well because I wasn't getting that much sleep. So I suddenly realized when I got some sleep, when I just fell asleep in the middle of the day, yesterday actually, and then I woke up again and I re-looked at what I was looking at, and I was like looking at it through new eyes, and I was like, this is not a good investment. This is not a good investment either. But this one that I didn't really understand, I understand now, and I can see that this is a good investment. And it's incredible to actually go through that process where you're so tired and your head is so cloudy, but you don't realize that, your head is cloudy and you're not thinking properly, and you don't realize that you're not actually intelligent. It's like you lose your intelligence at that point where you're not getting enough sleep, right? So sleep is very important, by the way. And then you think that you're making the correct decisions at the time, and then later when you look back, you just realize, oh, that's not the best decision. And this shouldn't be a panic it's just because this is a massive change, right? Every time there's a huge change, of course, everyone would feel stressed. I have done various different times in the past. Every time there's a major change in my life, if my whole life has changed, then of course, you're not sure what to expect or how to prepare for the change. And that's the thing. This could be, if there is a market crash, then of course it can be a real opportunity to make a lot of money again. Like the previous market crash. Of course, we wouldn't be making as much money, perhaps, but I no doubt the US will continue to print money, and no doubt that inflation will keep happening, just to prevent a complete market crash like that of 1929. However, with this inflation, with money constantly being pumped into the system, it's just delaying the inevitable, and is making it worse. And so it could potentially create a disaster that would be worse than the 1928-9 crash. But then again, if they were just to try and inflate to avoid that as well, then I suppose the most logical thing that would happen would simply be that America would start falling behind the other countries because the American dollar becomes worth less and less, and then someone like China will come in. I think they have the liquid assets now to become a world reserve currency if they need to be, and they would come in and they would become the world reserve currency. Of course, it's always difficult to tell, and it's difficult to know which businesses to invest in. I recognize. I saw yesterday a video about who was it? The big investor. Well, a large investor. He was actually pulling out of a lot of his stocks in general technology and banks as well. He pulled a lot of stocks out of banks, and he reinvested into the medical industry, and he reinvested into, what was the other things? Oh, telecommunications. So I suppose it's this idea that everybody's working from home at the moment on the computer. So the point of this video was just to say that, so I talked about tiredness affecting me, but when it comes to fear and anxiety, it's hard to. It's amazing how much it clouds your judgment, and how much it can. You could be making decisions and you think it's a logical decision, but actually it comes from a fear inside you. And I presented the idea of student coin, and in that video I was saying how it could be pretty bad to be investing in student coin. However, I have kept my investments there because I've realized since then, if you actually look at it from a logical point of view, if you look at it without emotion, without any of the cloudy stuff, and just realize what potential it has a humongous amount of potential. And I just have to face the fact that if I lose that money, I lose. Because that's the thing, right? That's what we're doing in investing. The only way you can win is by realizing that the money you invest, you will lose. At some point, you will lose. And we just have to accept that. And otherwise, it will drive... I know it'll drive me into the ground if I'm constantly looking at this investments and thinking, oh, I need this money. I mean, that's not what I thought when I started out. When I started this YouTube channel, I did not think, oh, I need this money. I'm thinking, oh, I want to create a passive income in the future. Because that can be a bad thing as well with greed and everything. So my point is that you can't allow your emotions to take control of you. And oh, excuse me for a moment, sorry. That was just but you can't allow emotions to take control of you, and because otherwise you'll be making some terrible decisions, some terrible investments, and yeah, and you'll be like me where you're not getting enough sleep and you start trying to go crazy about like all these other ideas that you may have, setting up businesses and looking at ways of investing that way. Of course, life is hard. It doesn't have to be, but it is hard when you're at the bottom and you're trying to work your way up. It's always... I mean, I was following the advice of another YouTuber, millionaire, who was suggesting that you just gotta try and find every moment you can just to invest your time in trying to build your money. But at the end of the day, we're all human and we need to have rest occasionally. So that's pretty much everything. I hope this video has enlightened you, especially with my past videos. Perhaps you were thinking, oh, maybe this is a little bit too paranoid. I pride myself on being a little bit paranoid to make sure that I'm protected, or just make sure that I'm just not allowing ego to control my decisions, and I actually make a logical decision. But that it's been a little bit too much recently, and it's gone in the opposite direction. Like everything is like a balance in life, of course, and you've got to find the middle ground. I mean, it's like that with absolutely everything, honestly. And of course, I just went a little too far onto one side, and I need to pull myself back to the middle again.